Hare Krishna, we continue reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 8, Attaining the Supreme, text 28. Vedeshu yagyeshu tapashu chaiva daneshu yad punya phalam pratishtam atyeti tat sarvam idam viditva yogi param sthanam upayati chadyam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode. So Krishna has been speaking about, he said first, oh, if you live in the light during the time when the sun is in the north, in the time of the waxing moon, in the time of the fire, at an auspicious moment of the day, then the soul never comes back to this material world. He does not return to this material world. Then he said that one who dies at night in the dark during the time of the waning moon, then he goes to the moon planet and comes back. Then Krishna says, but a devotee does not care about these things. Why? Because I'm personally taking care of the devotee. A devotee does not have to see, oh, I'm dying by calculation or by accident. Is it an auspicious time? Is it night or day? Is it that the sun is in the northern hemisphere or southern hemisphere? He's just left himself, surrendered himself to Krishna. And Krishna makes arrangements for him to go back home, back to Godhead. Here, now Krishna is saying that simply by engaging in devotional service, one gets the benefit of studying all the Vedas, performing all the sacrifices, undergoing all austerities, giving charity, doing all the fruitive activities and philosophical activities. So everything we can get simply by engaging in devotional service. If we study the Vedas, we are going to get one result. If we are going to perform sacrifices, we are going to get one result. We are going to undergo austerities, we are going to get one result. We give some charity, we get another result. But performing devotional service, we can get all combined, combo, one in all. In Kali Yuga, we are given the shortcut because Krishna knows our lives are short, we are lazy, we are quarrelsome, our minds are disturbed, we don't have qualifications, we do not have the paraphernalia. So it's not that devotional service was not being performed in the other ages. It is always being performed. It is the surest and shortest and the most efficient and fastest way back home, back to Godhead. This verse is the summation of the 7th and 8th chapters, which particularly deal with Krishna consciousness and devotional service. One has to study the Vedas under the guidance of the spiritual master and undergo many austerities and penances while living under his care. So this was Vedic civilization. This was Vedic civilization that a boy, he's 5 years old, he goes and lives in the ashram of his guru. What does he do there? He studies the Vedas. And while living in the guru's ashram, it's not that he's playing video games the whole day or internet. No, performing austerities and penances. This was Vedic times. We don't have this kind of a social structure anymore in Kali Yuga. A brahmachari has to live in the home of the spiritual master just like a servant. And he must beg alms from door to door and bring them to the spiritual master. He takes food only under the master's order. And if the master neglects to call the student for food that day, the student fasts. These are some of the Vedic principles for observing brahmacharya. So this was the student. He's completely dependent on his spiritual master. Spiritual master forgets to call him for food, he doesn't eat food. He fasts. After the student studies, the Vedas under the master for some time, at least from age 5 to 20, he becomes a man of perfect character. So why is he studying the Vedas? He's studying rigorously for 15 years. He's serving the spiritual master, performing austerities, performing penances, and he becomes, he builds his character. He gets a good character. Study of the Vedas is not meant for the recreation of armchair speculators, but for the formation of character. So when we are studying the scriptures, it's not that it's a novel like fiction that we are reading. No, it's to apply what we are studying in our lives. Application. That's the reason it's called science of self-realization, science of Krishna consciousness, because the knowledge can be applied. After this training, the brahmachari is allowed to enter into household life and marry. When he's a householder, he has to perform many sacrifices so that he may achieve further enlightenment. So the brahmachari, after he is 25 years old, then he marries. He enters into the grahast ashram. In Kali Yuga, practically hardly anyone follows the grahast ashram. We are all grahamedis, attached to home and family for our own sense gratification. Grahast life is when the husband and wife live together in the family for the purpose of spiritual advancement. They bring up the children in Krishna consciousness. So the idea is for advancement in spiritual life. So in the grahast, he has to give charity according to country, time, and candidate, discriminating among charity and goodness, in passion and in ignorance, as described in Bhagavad Gita. Charity and goodness, in passion and in ignorance. So that is grahast. There are many rules and regulations for grahast ashram, and charity being one of them. Then after retiring from household life, upon accepting the order of Vanaprasth, he undergoes severe penances. Vanaprasth. So Vanaprasth, so he was a brahmachari till 25, then he became married, 25 to 50. Then after 50, he retires from active family life, goes to the forest. That's why it's called Vanaprasth. Living in a forest, dressing with tree bark, not shaving, etc. So now in Kali Yuga, it's not practical for us to go live in the forest. There are practically no forests even. And we can't even live in forests anymore. We can live at our own place, or we could live in an ISKCON temple. If not possible, we can live at home, but at the same time cultivate Krishna consciousness, practice Krishna consciousness, engage in devotional service, engage in hearing and chanting. We don't need to leave the house by carrying out. But the idea is that I want to focus in my spiritual life. I need my consciousness to be changing from the material to the spiritual. That is the thing for Vanaprasth. By carrying out the orders of brahmacharya, household life, Vanaprasth, and finally sannyas, one becomes elevated to the perfectional stage of life. So after Vanaprasth, some men will go on to take up sannyas, renunciation. So in Vanaprasth, they still live at home with the family, but living in a retired way and with the mood that I want to cultivate my spiritual life. But in sannyas, when no more living at home, cutting off all family ties, and the idea is preaching, giving Krishna consciousness to everyone. Srila Prabhupada, he was a grihast, then he became Vanaprasth. He was retired, he was living outside for some time. Then finally he became a sannyasi. And he went to America to give Krishna consciousness to everyone. So sannyasi is not just to change a dress or to get some name and fame. No, but idea is to give Krishna consciousness to everyone. Give the knowledge of Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita to everyone. Some are then elevated to the heavenly kingdoms, and when they become even more advanced, they are liberated in the spiritual sky, either in the impersonal Brahma Jyotir or in the Vaikuntha planets or Krishna Lok. This is the path outlined by Vedic literatures. So if one is really following this, the Vedic Varna Sharma Dharma, then depending on what activities, what is the consciousness, what is the intention, some go to the heavenly kingdom, Swargalok. Then some may even get liberated going to the Brahma Jyoti, and some may even go to Vaikuntha and Krishna Lok. The pure devotee, he goes directly to Krishna Lok. He goes directly to go back. He goes directly to Golok Vrindavan, which is the highest planet in the spiritual sky, the highest planet in the Vaikuntha. So we should try to become devotees, should continue to hear and chant, and go back home, back to Godhead. Are there any questions or comments?
No, all good.
Thank you so much
in
yes.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Ratna. Yes, please.
Yeah, what I understood, like in Kali Yuga, we have to hear and chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, right? And this is the only way you can go to like Godhead, back to Gokul Vrindavan Dham, right?
Yes.
And now, because the education system is totally changed, we have to recite every year some different thing. So we cannot focus on one subject. Before in the ashram, like they teach all Vedas and our spiritual whatever we had. So they really remember what actually they need to do, related with their character, related with their family responsibilities, or related with their spiritual activities. So they go stepwise, but now it is totally changed. We engage with ourselves and our interest only. So we need to practice, and yeah, we need to practice every day so that we can use to about this Mahamantra for our everyday, like just recite it, like recite every day. How many times you can do, and someday you will be habituated with this Mahamantra, and maybe you can do something like miracle, maybe, I don't know. What I understood, I am explaining.
Thank you. Yes. Oh, what do you mean by saying miracle though? What miracle?
Miracle means we will not going to rebirth in this Mrityu Loka.
Yes. Yes, that's right. That's right. Thank you so much. Yes, we continue hearing and chanting, and that's the reason we are advised to chant minimum 16 rounds a day so that we can remember Krishna throughout the day. We are advised to hear from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita every day, recite the scriptures, associate with the devotees so that we can be always in consciousness of Krishna. It's not easy. It's not easy at all because, as you rightly said, we are so materially attached. But we can just try and we follow the process. This is the process given to me. I do this under the guidance of the spiritual master, and I'm going back home, back to Godhead. Yeah, that is sadhana bhakti. So,
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.